After a recent report of a deadly shooting in Milwaukee, we received an email from a viewer named Mario.
He wrote, in part, the tragedy of a shooting is much greater than the financial cost, but people pay attention to the cost because that affects them personally. Our Lighthouse reporter Ben Jordan did some digging into this. He found the cost Mario refers to is more than $2 million.
Ben breaks down the staggering figure for each deadly shooting and what advocates say it calls for.
It's almost unbearable.
It's a pain no parent should have to endure.
It feels like your breath has been taken away.
A pain Deborah Gillespie has felt each day for the last 2 decades.
You know, normally you have to be involved in something negative to get gunned down, but that was not the case.
Deborah's son Kirk was out celebrating a new job with friends in 2003 when a gunman opened fire in a Milwaukee bar, killing 3 people, including Kirk.
And you know, you never think that when your son comes home from college that you lose him.
Deborah knows better than anyone that no price tag could ever replace her son's absence, but she understands the ripple effect of gun violence goes beyond grieving families. One impact rarely explored is how much the problem costs taxpayers. It's something Michaela Rabinowitz set out to answer.
If there are 200 approximately homicides in the city of Milwaukee every year and 2 to 3 times that many non-fatal shootings, the cumulative cost to residents of Milwaukee, taxpayers who live in the city of Milwaukee, is exponential.
Michaela is a director of research at the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform. For the first time, it studied the financial implications of shootings in Milwaukee. The nonprofit focused on 6 key expenses. Each time police and first responders go to the scene of a deadly shooting, it costs about $8 grand. Average hospital costs amount to nearly $90,000. Investigating and prosecuting the crime adds up to another $55,000. That's followed by the biggest cost of all, incarceration, to the tune of $1.7 million. When you add victim support expenses and lost tax revenue to the state, the cost estimate exceeds $2 million for fatal shootings and more than $600,000 for non-fatal shootings.
There's going to be people who watch this story and say, that's hard to believe. What would be your response to them?
So I think my first response to them would be that our estimates are actually far more conservative than the estimates of a number of other gun violence reduction organizations trying to do similar analyses. And that's because we are only measuring the direct and measurable costs of gun violence.
Michaela discovered Milwaukee homicides are far more costly than similar-sized cities like Detroit, Indianapolis, and even Atlanta, largely because of higher incarceration costs in Wisconsin.
My hope is that people understand that these costs are not costs that we should be comfortable with.
Reggie Moore is a director of community safety at the Medical College of Wisconsin. He collaborates with the city, county, and state to address violence as a public health issue. He's now partnering with the researchers who studied the financial cost.
What do you hope people who see this story take away from this report?
I think it's important when you multiply the amount of homicides in one given year by the total cost of that, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Moore hopes it helps people understand the value of prevention efforts and the need to invest up front.
For example, a program like 4-1 for Life costs $2 million. If it saves one life, the return on investment in preventing one homicide is clear. The price tag for doing nothing or not doing more to prevent these things on the front end is a cost that none of us should be willing to pay.
It's important to note that Milwaukee homicides are down 22% compared to this time last year. According to this study, that reduction saves taxpayers about $68 million. Reporting in downtown Milwaukee, Ben Jordan, TMJ4 News.
If you'd like to see the full report for yourself, you can find this story at tmj4.com/lighthouse.
TMJ4's Lighthouse team is dedicated to the issues facing our community. If you have a story idea, let us know. So you can scan this QR code that you see on your screen right now or go to tmj4.com/tips. You can also reach out to us on social media.